Let's go to the phones. Let's see who's here. Okay, let's talk with Mickey. Mickey is calling from Kearney, Nebraska, and she watches on YouTube, and glad she does. Hi, Mickey, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
Pretty good. Yep, having a good day today. How could we help you?
Well, I've been listening to your show, and I've just been wondering, how does a person know if they truly have an alcohol problem, or if it's just became just a bad habit?
All right, well, let's try to make the case that it's just a bad habit. What are the symptoms of this drinking bad habit problem?
The symptoms of it? What do you
Yeah.
mean by that?
Well, let's see. Does the person, is this you or somebody else?
It's me.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to ask you one question. If you'll answer it honestly, it could be the key to the whole thing. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
When you think back on your drinking, if you have a night or a day of drinking, how much or how many drinks do you think you can consume in a day or an evening or an episode of drinking?
I can drink up to, the most I've drank is 7 craft beers.
7 beers? Mm-hmm. How much do you weigh? Just curious. How much do you weigh?
About 112.
Okay. Yeah. And how many times do you find yourself drinking at all?
Daily.
Okay. And one final question. Do people ever tell you that you actually hold a lot of alcohol for your size without getting intoxicated?
No, nobody said that.
Nobody? And do you think it's true?
Mm-mm.
You don't think you have a high tolerance for alcohol?
It's definitely higher than it used to be.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. You know, I don't drink because I knew that you don't get addicted to alcohol on a beer, but if you consume enough, you will actually develop an addiction to the alcohol. If it gets really severe, your body will request an alcohol molecule over a molecule of steak or something like that. And we see people in the latter stages not wanting to eat, they just want to drink. I quit drinking because I knew that a high tolerance for alcohol would addict a person, and I saw my tolerance go up. What was a glass of wine often became a bottle of wine, and I said, wait a second, this is not good. And I quit for that very one, that simple reason. Now, you're saying that your tolerance is kind of going up. To me, this is so much more important than why do you drink? Because I want to tell you something. Everybody at happy hour is drinking for probably the same reason that an alcoholic drinks in the beginning. And they call it happy hour because you're miserable during the day and you go drink to get happy. And so that's what everybody has in common. So looking at why and all that, people say, well, you might have been treating the pain. I think social drinkers are treating some pain, but they never, ever see their tolerance go up and they never get addicted to it. They could be a problem drinker, which is different. Problem drinker, let's say you got drunk on a glass of wine. Problem drinker could be so miserable they get drunk every night on a glass of wine. That person can go see Dr. Jill or Dr. Alice, work through that problem that makes them want to be not miserable anymore, and then they're not needing recovery and all this. They need to continue with counseling. But the alcoholic phenomena is so different than that. When you work with alcoholics, you see a totally different situation. And I would say this, I'd say that 7 beers for a 112-pound person, that's a lot of alcohol. And if that's going up, then I would say, it might be a better idea for you to find a way to not drink at all. And especially if you find a need to do it every day. You at least need to be in counseling, working on those things. And the counselor might one day say to you, I think it's time that you start going to a recovery meeting. Alice, what are your thoughts here when you hear her talk?
Mickey, I've just been chomping at the bit to get to tell
I noticed that.
to get to tell you how much I like you and admire you, because you have the willingness to ask this question. And yet I suspect you've already known the answer to your own question for quite some time. Most of us, when we're in these unhealthy behaviors, and I've been in them myself as well, we don't want to look at it. We don't want anybody else to know about it. And we do not want to admit we do it more than we want to do it. And yet here you are. And because I believe you've already known the answer to your question, you know you're drinking more than is good for you, probably more than you want to. I'm really curious why you're really calling today with this, seeking help today.
I don't know. I'm sick of feeling crummy all the time. It's been a really rough year this year, as it has for a lot of people. I don't know. Something just told me to call.
You
know what?
It's a great thing that you did. I mean, it really is wonderful that you did.
I think it's God's invitation to you, and he's been knocking on your door for quite some time, but you're finally responding to him.
Right. And you know, Steve, it's interesting. The first time I ever heard you speak, you spoke about this, the difference between alcoholism and problem drinking. And, you know, Mickey, either way, the solution is kind of the same, because you're saying you're tired of feeling bad. So the alcohol isn't really doing it for you anymore.
Great point, Jill.
You know, it's just kind of become, you know, at the very least, it's a bad habit, right? That you just kind of do every day because you don't know what else to do. So one of the things is to maybe let's change that habit, you know, you know, they people throw out different timelines of how many days it takes to change a habit. So what if you made a concerted effort to do it differently, right? Let's say you took a month and you didn't drink. Would you be able to do that? Now, most people, even in a habit, can't do it by themselves, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, 12-step groups are a wonderful thing, and you don't have to consider yourself an alcoholic to go there. There are open meetings where you can go and just, you know, kind of observe and hear the speakers and kind of hear some things maybe you identify with, take some good tips away, and see if you can start to make some changes in your life. I think it's also good to have a good friend that you could share. You know, I think I've just been drinking too much. I just want to try something different, and maybe share with them and see, you know, and kind of maybe keep a record of how you're doing. And if you're able to do that, right? If you're able to do that, great. Yeah. If you're not, well, then, you know, you need to maybe look at, okay, maybe this is a bigger problem, and now it's necessary that I get involved in a program, which is going to, you know, the thing is you can't just take something away. You have to add something positive. And the one thing with the 12-step groups or the Life Recovery or the Celebrate Recovery gives you community. And that is so often what we are hungering for. And these aren't people that are just going to talk surfacey to you. You know, in those meetings, they talk about the real stuff of life and where they're struggling. And so it often fills that void that you're longing for when you go for a drink.
And Mickey, it will be crucial to keep this ball rolling, because I bet it was hard to make this call to us. But if you stay on the line, of course it was. Yeah. But stick with this, because if you'll stay on the line, we can get you connected with a therapist in your area. We can keep this momentum going, and you will start eventually to feel relief. It's such a tough process, but with the kind of company that Jill is prescribing for you, things will start to change. Keep this momentum rolling.
Okay, now I'm going to send you a Life Recovery Bible and a workbook, and that's a really great place to start, especially if you can get into a life recovery group and have that community. I don't know if this statistic is accurate, but it's close, and that is that no one has ever asked if they have a problem that didn't have a problem. I mean, if you have to ask, you've worked through a lot of denial and stuff, and there's probably 100% chance that there's something that needs to be done, and whether it's a therapist or a recovery group, I don't know, but I'd start with something.
Mickey, how old are you?
I'm 39. I'll be 40 in a couple weeks.
Okay. You have at least half a lifetime or more left. So instead of, so it's great. You're not asking this question at 70. You're asking it at 40, at almost 40.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
A lot of time to do it. A lot of time to do it differently. I know that we hang on to that almost. I'm hanging on to it this year for sure.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad you called. Hold on, I'm going to get you a Bible and a workbook. Anybody else, you can get it at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.